Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today we're taking a massive, multi-generational epic, the incredible story of Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. And well, we're distilling it down into a powerful thematic journey. We're going to break down the sprawling, chaotic tale of the Dutch van der Linde Gang. But we're not just recapping the plot, we're really going to examine what this story tells us about progress, loyalty, and the inescapability of our own actions. Right off the bat, I want to throw a question your way. Can we actually atone for the wrongdoings of the past? Can a person ever truly escape the consequences of their evil deeds? Keep that echoing in the back of your mind as we go through this explainer today. Because look, we aren't just looking at a simple story about outlaws riding horses and robbing trains. Oh no, we're diving deep into the emotional core and the heavy morality of this whole saga. Now, to really grasp that morality, we've got to understand the setting. Quote, "The frontier is confined to history. The year is 1899. We are pivoting sharply right at the very beginning to this harsh reality. The romanticized era of the free-roaming outlaw, that total survival of the fittest lifestyle, is essentially already dead when our story kicks off. The world is shrinking fast, and the gang's way of life, it's basically a ghost." So let's jump right into Section 1, the dying Wild West. Let's see how this rapidly changing landscape acts like a giant pressure cooker for our characters. We've got a stark contrast at play here. On one side, we have the outlaws, fueled by a dying brand of freedom and, absolutely crucially, loyalty. On the other side, the new power in town, corporations and the government. We're talking incredibly wealthy figures like Leviticus Cornwall and ruthless, organized muscle like the Pinkerton Detective Agency. As communication and transport start connecting cities, these corporations are stepping in to claim their prize. It brilliantly highlights a core friction in the story. When raw, chaotic outlaw violence slams headfirst into the organized, so-called civilized violence of corporate barons, it really begs the question, who are the real villains here? Moving on to Section 2, the fall of Dutch. Now, we can track exactly how the intense claustrophobia of this modernizing world completely shatters Dutch van der Linde, step by painful step. First up, the botched boat heist in Blackwater. They kick the hornet's nest, lose their money, and boom, they're forced on the run. Second, the totally devastating death of Hosea. Hosea wasn't just his partner in crime, he was his guiding light, his anchor to reason. Once he's executed in the streets of Saint-Denis, Dutch completely loses his moral compass. And third, in the vacuum left by Hosea, Dutch actually starts taking counsel from Micah, a guy who just feeds his massive ego and his worst chaotic tendencies. He trusts the rat over his fiercely loyal adopted sons, Arthur and John. We literally watch a mentor who once demanded loyalty through paternal love slowly transform into a monster controlled by revenge and sheer appetite. And man, the cost of this descent is just staggering. Sean Maguire, Kieran Duffy, Hosea Matthews, Lenny Summers. This heartbreaking list of casualties physically shows us how the gang's family is violently shrinking. With every desperate job they pull to try and escape a world that's closing in on them, the country pushes back harder, and yet another member falls. Which brings us to Section 3, Arthur's final choice. So, Arthur Morgan, Dutch's trusted right-hand man, finds himself navigating this totally collapsing world while facing a sudden, terrifying personal reality. He contracts terminal tuberculosis. And what is brutally ironic about this, and we really need to pause on this for a second, is that he doesn't catch it in some blaze of glory outlaw shootout. No, he contracts it from Thomas Downs, a desperate, broken, and impoverished man that Arthur ruthlessly beat up simply to collect a debt for the gang. Being the violent man he was brought him a fatal diagnosis, leaving him with only weeks to live. But strangely enough, this finite timeline brings a sudden, piercing clarity. Arthur says, if this country is man unleashed, then unleash goodness, not just hell's feeble brother. Knowing he's on borrowed time forces Arthur into a profound shift. Since he was just a kid, blind loyalty to Dutch was literally his only compass. But now, he pivots. He drops that blind loyalty for a desperate, intentional pursuit of redemption. He starts freeing debtors, he helps the marginalized, and for the first time, he starts making his own choices. And all of this culminates in one final, incredibly defiant act. Arthur sacrifices his very last breaths, fending off the Pinkertons on a mountainside. And why? All so his adopted brother, John Marston, can escape with his wife, Abigail, and son, Jack. Arthur breaks the cycle for himself. He lays down his own life so John can have a real shot at a normal, peaceful existence. This leads into Section 4, John Marston's debt. We fast forward a bit to follow John's earnest attempt to go straight. In 1899, Arthur sacrifices himself. By 1907, train lines are spider-webbing across the country, fundamentally shrinking the frontier. Fast forward to 1910, motor cars are becoming a common sight, and the government is fully centralized. The Wild West, as they knew it, has been completely tamed. I really want to emphasize this rapid modernization because it sets up the ultimate trap. There is quite simply no room for an outlaw in a civilized world. And sure enough, that trap springs shut. Agent Ross, the face of this new centralized authority, kidnaps John's family. He issues a totally ruthless ultimatum. John must hunt down and kill the last remnants of his former gang, his brothers in arms, Bill Williamson, Javier Esquizea, and ultimately Dutch van der Linde himself. The new civilized government forces John to revert to the exact same brutal violence he desperately tried to leave behind, all just to earn his family's freedom. Which brings us to this incredibly killing realization from Dutch when John finally corners him. Dutch says, "If I change, when I'm gone, they'll just find another monster." This brilliantly captures the tragic truth of this era. This system, this shiny new government, actually relies on outlaws, on monsters, to justify its own violent expansion and authority. Dutch realizes that the powerful are always going to need a boogeyman to keep control. Let's move to our final chapter, Section 5, The Inescapable Past. So, John does it. He actually completes this horrific task. But Agent Ross, entirely corrupted by his own power, completely betrays the deal. He descends on John's peaceful farm, Beecher's Hope, with the literal U.S. Army. It is a crushing betrayal, but it proves a vital, undeniable point. In this new, rigid world, a tarnished soul cannot simply erase their past infractions. The ledger has to be wiped completely clean. In a moment of totally devastating realization, John stops running. He sends Abigail and Jack away to safety, and he steps out of those barn doors to face the army completely alone. He secures their survival at the ultimate cost of his own life. And you know, what's so striking here is the beautiful yet incredibly tragic parallel between Arthur's and John's final moments. Both of these men, born into a life of chaos and violence, end up willingly sacrificing themselves for the mere hope that the next generation might finally get to live in peace. Abigail and Jack bury John, and on his tombstone, they inscribe this beautiful, haunting epitaph: "Blessed are the peacemakers." It honors the quiet, peaceful life he tried so desperately to create at Beecher's Hope, even if the world just wouldn't let him keep it. It's a true testament to the fact that in his heart, John really did change. But 3 years later, after Abigail passes away, young Jack Marston hunts down and now retired Agent Ross and kills him in a duel to avenge his father. So I'm gonna leave you with this provocative thought. If Jack Marston avenges his father by shedding more blood, does the cycle of violence just begin all over again? After absolutely everything Arthur and John sacrificed to break the chain, did it even matter? It leaves us lingering on that haunting question we started with: whether anyone in this epic tale ever truly escapes the consequences of their past.